Dear Dhamma friends, today is the first day in our PhD Meditation Retreat Center, and this is the first hour we have separated for the Dhamma talks. May you all be prepared for the Dhamma talk and get seated and give the consent 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Dasuttara pavakkami dhammang nibbana Acchaya dukkha santa karissaya sabbang gantappa mohanang iti. Dear Dhamma friends, as you all know, we have now come to a residential meditation retreat, or we can say full time we try to be mindful, and this is a kind of a rare opportunity from all the points of view, and even from our values. So therefore, each and everyone knows how much it is important and how rare we get this kind of a retreat to have full-time meditation. So whenever we reach such a situation, we must use our common sense in order to get the maximum benefit out of it, and dedication. And even with that kind of a dedication, very difficult for a commoner to understand what is conducive and what is not. What are the things that you facilitate, what are the ways and means that you facilitate and not. So therefore, not only the mere teaching of the Buddha out of compassion, he has mentioned how to facilitate this kind of a situation and to be diligent to get the highest benefit out of it. With that respect in mind, the Buddha enumerated 5 points. Before starting the particular topic, I would like to bring forward 5 points we individually as well as a group we must always think about and facilitate. The first and foremost thing the Buddha mentioned is the morality or restraint. So you must abide by the precepts and morality and the constitution of the center, so that we will not be disturbing each other and we will not invite unwanted tension and the frustration into the stream of consciousness. So therefore, we all agreed to observe 8 precepts, and it is little more than our day-to-day 5 precepts. Therefore, this giving a kind of a new thinking pattern while we are in the retreat center, because we are abiding by these precepts. So it's a kind of a refreshment or reminder to the mind that we are dedicated our time for meditation, and our fellow meditators too are observing. So I must abide by these precepts so that whole group come up to a standard, and that is a kind of a facility that we must make sure. So that's why right at the beginning, we observe or administer 8 precepts. And the second thing is Sutta Anugaita, that is to gain more and more book knowledge or more and more theoretical knowledge according to the historical time of the Buddha, it is only by listening. Of course, nowadays we have a lot of other ways and means, but you observe that direct listening is the most effective way in communication. Even though we have a lot of electronic methods and other teaching techniques, still this preaching and listening is one of the best in teaching techniques. So that is the only thing mentioned in the canonical teaching, that is, you must listen. And that is why each and every day we have allocated 1 hour or so to have this Dhamma talk, and so that we are listening to some other areas of the discourses or teaching of the Buddha. We may be versatile and we may be very versed in the teaching, but even then, renewing and giving a fresh listening is important. Then only the mind will be very conducive towards this success of the retreat. The third aspect is the discussion. We already experienced from 1:30 to 2:30, 1 hour of question and answer session, and that very session we can consider as a discussion or common interviews, whereby both the parties get a chance to communicate, have a dialogue, a discussion, so that cross-questioning and clearing of the doubts happening more efficient way in the discussion than in the one-way teaching of discourses. And the other important thing is, in the dispensation of the Buddha, we find this item of discussions. In the other denominations, hardly you find a chance to discuss something, because you have to accept the holy teaching or holy book. There is no chance to question. There is no chance to discuss each other, because it's a given fact and accepted fact. But in the teaching, the Buddha mentioned that you must not accept anything unless otherwise it appear to be reasonable, it appear to be good for discussion, and then only you will get the thorough understanding of anything. So therefore, don't consider anything as secret or sacred. It's the kind of a way we facilitate our residential retreat. That is called discussion or sakaccanugahita in Pali. And once this morality or observation of precepts and the fair amount of theoretical understanding and a chance to discuss and interview, then only mind is ready to progress towards the concentration. Otherwise, there may be a lot of unclear points and misunderstandings and tension, so that mind is not released and mind is not concentrated. So therefore, these early three aspects, the moral conditions or morality as well as understanding about the theoretical knowledge and the discussions are basics to the concentration. And with that only, the wisdom, the vipassana, or the insight sets in. So therefore, it appears like an orderly presentation, like a chain action, starting from sila, is leading up to the wisdom. And these are the two most important aspects of a spirituality of a person. So one has to take care about one's own precepts and restrainment, and ultimately, slowly it is leading to the wisdom. So usually it is not an accepted fact in the educational lines. They have very little consideration about the discipline or moral shame and the moral fear, and instead they think by giving the education facilities, classroom teaching, one can develop the wisdom, the knowledge, and the whole world is already streamlined to accept it and to give prizes, recognition, jobs and everything. So the dark side of the picture is more and more these education lines are improving the morality, the moral shame and the moral fear, the healthy shame and the healthy fear in the younger generation is eroding, erosion, and we find always fault with the younger generation, but it is not their own weaknesses, it's a weakness in the system. When and where the teaching happens or learning happens, there should have necessary amount of discipline, and therefore whenever you separate them out, of course from the worldly point of view, education or knowledge may be increasing, but it is invariably undermining one's morality, unless otherwise you keep real touch on it. So therefore in the Anuggahita Sutta, over the 5 points where the Buddha presents as facilitating, first and foremost in the precepts. So in a traditional retreat like that, we usually take it even though we are having our retreat in USA. But otherwise, if you take a general outlook, other places, they are not giving so much of gravity towards this morality, and my personal view is that kind of a situation can lead to some complications within the psychology as well as in the group feeling as well as in the society. So therefore, we have to individually be responsible and appreciate precepts we have already taken, and then giving the time for listening and discussions and through concentration, you can expect kind of wisdom, and that wisdom you have to reinvest on morality. So therefore, moral condition or morality or precepts are not a set of rules. It is evolving as and when the wisdom increases. With the new or refined, more efficient precepts, and gain another layer of metamorphosis or evolution happen into wisdom, and again that is reinvesting on the precepts. Likewise, the kind of evolution going to take place. So it's very dynamic one, very organic one. So even though we are taking these precepts, talks, discussions together, individual developments are multivariate according to one's starting point as well as their inherent capabilities, together with the understanding of this teaching. So therefore, each and every time we have to consider individually ourselves as a beginners. Therefore, the beginner's mind is very important. Whenever you are going to assume thinking that I am more morally sound, I am more restrained, I am superior in morality, the Buddha himself said that very misunderstanding is undermining your wisdom and creating problems in the society as well as the tension in your psychology. So therefore, even though we are systematically applying ourselves to the morality, listening, critical understanding and discussions and concentration and the wisdom, each and every time when it is improving, you must be more and more humble, or more and more developing the beginner's mind, then only then your development, your achievement will be unlimited. It's ever increasing. No one can fathom the depth of Dhamma, so therefore you have to systematically apply, yes, and it's a kind of a sacrification, yes. You are more and more investing, yes, but even then, still you have to be a beginner. Beginner's mind, so it is make the mind less and less tensed, less and less frustrated, and make you more religious, make you more spiritual. So it is an art. It's not a science. Of course, this teaching and doing in a systematic way, in scientific way, but application into oneself, it's an art. And for my understanding, some immediately get this message. Others find very, very difficult how to develop the beginner's mind. I don't know whether it is a result of a teaching or it's an inherent character, or genetic character, or karmic force, for someone to be very humble and a beginner, the others to assume it, and arrogance and reaction can happen. So therefore, don't copy someone. In this subject, no one, you can copy no one. The moment you go to copy, that your humbleness, your innocence disappears. So all the time, try to develop the beginner's mind and the ever development. Development is ever evolving. So that is why one must understand these factors, how to facilitate one's own spiritual development, specifically in time like this, where we have dedicated 100% full-time residential in a retreat. So even then, if you are not efficient enough, don't make a permanent damage. It will give another chance and another chance and another chance. So therefore, if you are continuing to practice, or if you practice regularly, one day definitely you will hit the target and understand how to be a beginner. And still have to keep on practicing. So therefore, even if you have already inherent arrogance and the reaction and assuming qualities, never mind, teaching is more powerful than these individual traits, and it will steamroll as far as you are practicing continuously, or you are practicing in a regular manner. So having said that, making the ground clear, now I would like to go to the subject matter that we have selected for this particular retreat. And before the retreat, we agreed to have or appoint a particular discourse you find in the Sutta Pitaka, or the discourses, and it is in the Ika Nikaya, long discourses. And even though at the beginning it is referring to the Buddha, Ekam Samayam Bhagava, Champayam Viharati, the township called Champa, Gaggaraya Pokkaranya Tire, there's a pond, water body, called Gaggara, and Buddha was living there, and about 500 disciples were practicing under him. But this is just to give a historical reference. The speaker is Venerable Sariputta, the first disciple, and Dhammajiva, the general of the Buddha's army of Dhamma, and he had the highest knowledge next to the Buddha. And he was a kind of a person, a compiler, or secondary data analyzing person, very efficient. And soon after the great demise of the Buddha, many understood that teachings are given under different circumstances, in different places. No one was comprehensively known about it. So therefore, they appointed about 500 fully enlightened monks and recited and decided about what is canonical. And in that, the first synod, for the first time in the world, in the human history, the most enlightened people, out of compassion, the people like us, put everything into one frame, and there you can see how the knowledge can be categorized. And earlier in the Atlantic season, there had been a civilization, according to some data. They said they had the knowledge, they had the kind of understanding how to crystallize the knowledge. They have crystallized the knowledge and deposited in their libraries, and they are in the prism-shaped transparent crystals, so they are the knowledge. During the time of the Buddha, or soon after his great demise, this is the first time that kind of sages or learned people got together and compiled in an orderly manner with language and with the grammar, and that was very, very important. And definitely if you go into the literature and understand a lot of other knowledges, pre-Buddhist time in the India, of course they have some more in the Greece, some more in the China, in the great civilizations. But careful studies indicates that putting the knowledge into a shape or a frame happened only after the Buddha. And he was the first person introduced the grammar and the language and the system into the knowledge, and the knowledge was there, and it was not really organized in a manner because there were no properly shaped, and it has therefore not gone to a pinnacle. But the Buddha, after reaching the pinnacle, he not only organized it and gave it to the disciples, and he presented a system of preserving the knowledge, and that is also an oral system without writing. And after about 500 to 600 only, the other religious sects, prehistoric, borrowed the system and tried to compile their knowledge and put into a systems, and later they claim, still they are claiming, their knowledge is more historical than Buddha. Of course, knowledge is not belongs to anyone. No sect or no individual can have a claim or ownership for the knowledge. So therefore, earlier there were some traditional knowledge, there were no body, there's no sect, there's no group as such to preserve. If at all such a thing happen, high caste people use it as a weapon to crush the low caste people, and therefore they consider this as a weapon, and they use some defensive, some politically agendas or knowledge, something limited to the defense systems, and the political agendas came into the preservation, but not for the compassion, not for the common benefit of the human beings. So that kind of a knowledge were there, but even then they are not well organized. After the demise of the Buddha, this first synod took place within 100 days, and then only the knowledge appear like a system, lasting one, and for the general humankind with the grammar, sequential process, and all the other knowledges took the precedence and they started compiling. Even then it was existing before the Buddha. This kind of a presentation you will never find in other places. So, in that respect, Venerable Sariputta is very, very exclusive, very important person. During the time of the Buddha himself, he took two efforts to how to compile the knowledge. Dasuttara Sutta is one thing, and he presented in the growing groups or ascending order how to compile discourses with 1 point, how to compile discourses with 2 points, how to compile the discourses with 3 points, 4, 5, up to 10. So this is a kind of a compilation, and he was the most knowledgeable person next to the Buddha, and he found just mere bits and pieces not going to last. They must be put in a frame and presented in a sound, profound manner. Then only they can preserve, because there were no writing. There is no other teaching technique. So when someone to by heart and to give it to the second generation, it must be in a very concentrated form, well-organized form. And Venerable Sariputta was so thinking deep and far away, he started during the time of the Buddha. And the sutta before this one, Sangiti Sutta, you find in the Digha Nikaya, still exactly the same. You can find the organizing, how to organize the knowledge in a numerical order and how to preserve so that you can by heart and you can give it to other one. And of course there's a danger in that also, because whenever you understand that kind of a knowledge, you are bound to learn knowledge for the sake of knowledge. That's a mistake. That's a bad, dark side of it, because they are very, very lucrative. Feel like by heart, feel like concentrated food or tablet form. So therefore many people can learn and develop authorities on knowledge once combined. And the good part of it is easy to hand over from one generation to the others without writing material, without other teaching techniques. So this tradition was basically from Venerable Sariputta. So this Dasuttara Sutta that we have taken as the topic for the series of talk is one thing. It is in the growing group form, 1 to 10, and each and every one is kind of a concentrated compilation. So I have my fair doubt whether we can completely complete or do all the topics come under the Dasuttara Sutta within this short time. But I thought of taking the pragmatic, practical parts and to learn how to study this kind of a sutta. Not a comprehensive and exhaustive manner, but to understand it and how much we can use it for our practice itself, and how much it is related to the present time, contemporary time, as far as the knowledge is concerned. So therefore, the selection of sutta is very good, and the Venerable Sariputta is telling, Dasuttaram Pavakkami, I am going to proclaim or declare, state the way the knowledge is being presented after starting from the 1 to the 10, Dhamma Nibbana Patya, to go to reach Nibbana, the emancipation, Dukkha Santakiriyaya, to end suffering, to end this friction, Sabbha Ganta Pamohana, to get rid of all the knots and the difficulties we face in our life. So therefore it's a kind of a panacea, it's a kind of a answer for all the practical and theoretical questions, or kind of giving the Dhamma in a gist, in a nutshell, how to preserve and how to give it to other person and how to apply into one's own life. So the very first one he says, he starts with the number 1, Eko Avso Dhammo Bahupakaro. There's one thing I found it is very greatly helpful. So that means starting this very particular point is the gist of all the sutta. The first and foremost he presents, oh Dhamma friends, there's one particular Dhamma, one particular point, which is very, very helpful, and that is the diligence. In translating this one, Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi presented the tirelessness, but I prefer more on the diligence, because it is going to give a comprehensive idea or concentrating the whole teaching of the Buddha. About few hundred years ago, specifically English people went to Sri Lanka and found that barbaric people are following kind of a lowly Dhamma. They are not following the God, they are not following the Bible, but they are very consistent and a cult group kind of thing. So in order to attack it, or in order to look at it in the inferior way, they took time first to study it. If you wish to kill or destroy enemy, first be friendly with him. That is the technique. You have to first and foremost understand the friend, and then only you can kill, you can devastate it. So this is the exactly point. They went there and started a very, very systematic way. Ultimately, they were so convinced, they put up the Pali Text Society. Ultimately, they translated whole Tripitaka for the first time into English. And in orderly manner, page numbers, sutta numbers, everything, even up to date, everyone, those who give reference and the quotations, they use the Pali Text Society order in order to pinpoint the particular word or particular topic. So after doing these Devis, and she wrote her experience, how to give a concise or comprehensive idea about the Tripitaka, and she was writing again and again, how to reduce this whole compilation of knowledge to a gist. Ultimately, she accepted, I can't reduce it to single thing, because it's presented in a multifaceted manner. Sometimes the whole teaching of the Buddha expressed as raga, dosa, moha, understanding of the desire, hatred, and the delusion. Sometimes they say it is Four Noble Truths: suffering, cause of suffering, and enumeration or liberation and the cause of liberation. Sometimes it is at the middle part. Sometimes it is presented that cause and effect relationship. Sometimes to a limbs, and this gives that to that. When this arises, that arises. It's very profound. Sometimes it is the Sila Samadhi Panya, the discipline towards your morality, and discipline towards your concentration, and discipline towards your Panya. And each and everyone appear like standing individually and very profound, then very difficult to give the Dhamma in a nutshell, Dhamma in a gist. So ultimately, everyone accepted, very difficult to reduce the Dhamma into one idea or one concept or one word. But when I practice myself in Burma, in Burmese shadows or teachers, they simply say, everything you can reduce to this appamada, everything you can reduce to this diligence. Because the English people, they never looked Dhamma in a pragmatic way. They were just translators, they were critical people. So therefore, they can't understand where it is ending, where it is going and come to the pinnacle or come up to the peak, because their approach was not practical. Next to the UK people, the Sri Lankan monks and the scholars helped and took a lot of pain in translation. Unfortunately, at that time, even in Sri Lanka, there was no practice. Everything was just theoretical. So therefore, no one was in a position to give a clue to reach Devis. This is the gist of teaching, right? But my personal understanding, the Burmese people, they were practicing. Of course, they underwent colonization and the other kind of suppression, but they managed to keep it. And their way, their approach was maybe more practical. So therefore, they say, even the Westerners, even the Sri Lankans, or even other traditional scholars find it difficult to reduce into a nutshell. It is possible, whole teaching, you can reduce to one single word, appamada, or diligence. So this is the point where Venerable Sariputta is expressing, Eko auso dhammo bahupakaro. Oh, your friends, Dhamma friends, as a one particular thing, it is greatly helpful. This is the starting statement of this particular sutta. So that is why I mention, if you understand that, all the rest of this is details of the same. Maybe very juicy, maybe very sappy, maybe more applicable to individual likings and disliking and the personalities, but throughout that, you can't do away with the diligence. So therefore, the whole effort we are going to put forth to understand the Dasuttara Sutta is nothing but how to define the diligence, how to define the appama. So, whenever we are proceeding further, we may observe, we may experience, we may witness, each and everything is another shades of meaning towards this appama, towards the diligence. So, the appamada, the diligence, is a kind of a term in Pali, very difficult to translate directly into English, not only into English, even to the Sinhala, native language, because it has not been in the practice. So therefore, even in Sri Lanka, we use the appamada, the Pali term exactly, but whenever someone is try to communicate using this term, very difficult to communicate because it is our day-to-day common language, it is not there. For the first time in my life, at the age of 26, 27, I encountered or met up with a foreign monk, Australian, and yes, I wanted to talk with him because he is coming from another religion and he is a white monk. And when I am talking, he told that we Sri Lankans are not up to the mark as the other external Buddhists are expecting, because we are not practicing. We are very proud of maintaining this literature and keeping them in writing and propagating to the other nations. These things are there, but Sri Lankan by themselves, they are not tasting. Then I challenged him, how can you say you are not Buddhist by birth and you also came into these kind of later? Then he asked me, do you know the meaning of appamana? I don't know. I am a born Buddhist. Of course, my main subject was Buddhism. I was studying in science fields. So then it happened me to ask in return, what do you Bhante mean by appamana? Then he said, that is what I am telling. You are claim Buddhist, but the basic teaching of the Buddha you don't know. Then I told him, good that I know now, I don't know. So please teach me. Whatever the book he is going to give, I can't digest. I don't know, I never expect this kind of a gist of the meaning of the whole teaching into one word. I have never heard, I never thought. And then, even though I argued with him, it was a challenge to me as a young person to explore into that. And he was so compassionate. He used to give books and talks and meeting with the people, those who are try to be appamada, but I never see any Buddhism in it. Whenever you go to appamada, the ism, the sectarianism, or Buddhism, or Theravada, you can't make you out of the mainstream. So therefore, many traditional or the conventional lines or sects are not happy. They don't feel comfortable with appamada because it is not going to the sectarianism. It is not going to get hard and fast into a ism. So that may be the one reason, more than the foreign repression and the natural disasters, naturally that appamada went away from the mainstream. And good part of the picture is, now for the last 50 years, maybe 60 years, again that Appamada is coming and it is representing. Sometimes it has a message from the Buddha, or sometimes it has a panacea for the present day problems as well as for the Nibbana. So therefore, we people living in this age are lucky when compared to our parents. They have no any chance of that. Of course, they are very great enough to preserve it, but they don't know what they have preserved. And we also, at the beginning, we don't know. And at least we have an exposure. And if we are rational enough to see its result, we can go into it and then put into practice and see whether it is something verifiable within in this very life. So that is the very part appealing when I started with this Appamada or diligence, and it was a kind of a challenge as far as it is verifiable in this very life. So therefore it is not clear merely for the sake of theory. It gives kind of homework for you and put into practice, and if it is not going to give the due results, definitely you will get discouraged. And if you are not understanding what is the direct result of diligence, still I would say it is a misunderstanding. That is also a negative factor for someone to be constantly be in Dhamma, to have a celibate life and the full-time meditation. That misunderstanding, it's an individual responsibility. Because things are being well explained. Nowadays it is becoming more and more prolific, and therefore each and everyone listen to diligence, listen to this Appamada as a beginner's mind to absorb it. Otherwise, there may be some allergic reactions, the lack of understanding, that may be partly due to one's own arrogance, one's own reaction. So therefore, someone to understand, at least to listen to Appamada and then to put into practice and then to gain verifiable results, not appealing to the society at large. It's only appealing to a minority. Don't expect that is to go into the cheap popularity. It never. So it is not a mistake, or it is not a counter-campaign. That's its nature. So last time when I go to the Burma, that Thero, we had a lucky chance to discuss with him. He says, knowing that they are deteriorating, knowing they are getting into bad addictions, still the world is going in the wrong way. The whole globe is warming up. And the corruptions and the deterioration of the climatological change, everything is changing, becoming bad and worse, but still we can't stop it. This is, for the moment, we call civilization. It's more than barbaric nature. That civilization is, it's burning the cattle from both the ends, but they can't stop it. And when that kind of a trend is happening, meanwhile for the last 30, 40 years, maybe 60 years, the mindfulness or diligence is increasing. And therefore some person, I read once, due to the understanding of these disadvantages of this so-called civilization, or so-called education, or so-called consumerization, or so-called luxurious thing, some people understand if this diligence is developed, the amount of people, or amount of successful people developing diligence is immaterial. Even a single person developing diligence, that will compensate of the whole bad thing doing by the majority of the people. Because the diligence is so powerful. It is therefore someone to do it and to persist, consistently practice it, they have to understand many or majority is doing a wrong thing and they are deteriorating, but the diligence is so powerful, even a single person can develop it. Taking the bad example at the society at large, that very thing will compensate everything. Recently I read, not completely, but His Holy Holiness Dalai Lama, he says, if one single person develops enough compassion, if one single person is developing his diligence, that is it. Whatever the people doing, whatever the agendas, political agendas and economical and social, the development of diligence, they have a very vast, lasting effect. So therefore, some may say with emotional valuation with the religious and kind of thing, some may put it to the compassion, and some others may say there's a balance in the society. When the majority go wrong, some wise people take that as an example, they try to be diligent. Because by looking at very openly, you can see how the bad things are getting the momentum. And whatever the momentum externally you see, it never harm, never disturb you to be diligent. If you know the meaning, if you know the know-how, if you know the practical side of the diligence, whatever the thing happening outside, no problem, because diligence is such a concept. It is in the no one's authority. You can impose yourself, and as and when the time permits, when you develop it, it gathers the momentum slowly. Ultimately, the diligence itself is lead your life, give the agenda to your life, and take the upper hand. You can almost like put into autopilot. But at the beginning, it takes so much of time to understand it, so much of time to put into practice it, so much of discouraging results. So therefore the beginning is painfully slow. It is not an individual mistake. That was the case even with the Buddha. So now some of us may be at the very beginning, some of may be at the middle, some may be very advanced, whatever may be, the facts that I presented is true, irrespective of the time and the space, so therefore diligence has its own the gravity. That is why Venerable Sariputta put the first and foremost thing in this Dasuttara Sutta, Eko Auso Dhammo Bahupakaro, is the one particular Dhamma greatly helpful. And that help is to refine your spiritual life, as well as to give a good vibration to the society, as well as without a hesitation you can give it to your second generation, and as far as our present generation is concerned, we can give it to our parents also. We can give it to our teachers also. We can give it to our spiritual masters also, because all these people are not acquainted with, not familiar with this kind of thing. Even though they are more Buddhist than us, even they are more spiritual than us, the know-how is not there. So therefore it's a kind of a phenomena, kind of circumstance, where we got a better chance, and don't try to compare it with the popularity. Telling that if it is so truth, if it is so profound, why it is 99.999 of the percentage of the population do not do it? One of the best book recently I read, that particular person is doing this brain science, and he is writing about the emotional life of your brain. And he is talking about that. Then he says, I am very efficient in to see how the diligence is helpful, gradually developing the brain and the knowledge and the memory and kind of thing. But a simple fact I do not know is, being it is so free, why one person is taking it with diligence, other person no concern. I can't design even an experiment, why it is being so free, some of them are attracted, some of them are not. He says, I don't know whether it is genetical, I don't know whether it is conducive or conditioning by the society, or I don't know whether it is administrable to a brain, I don't know. But only thing I have proved is, if you take time for diligence, it's definitely going to give a positive result. But not popular. I can't make a percentage of the population, even up to 1%. Not difficult, not possible. But I still keep on prescribing, try to be mindful, so that not only it's for your own benefit, but for the whole society at large and the global, and therefore it is the people, those who know about that, has to canvas, has to promote it, and don't worry, the society at large is not going to accept. Exactly you can see within your meditative life, within a day, how many thought moments are there? Innumerable. And how many you can keep diligent. All the other thought moments are just like the society at large, not accepting diligence. Our very mind, even we introduce in very beneficial thing, highly beneficial, greatly beneficial, but our mind itself is not accepting. And it's rejecting. We don't know. We are full-time meditators. We try our best, sacrifice everything. Give the full posture and the full understanding of the theoretical knowledge and the discussions and the precepts and everything, but even then you can understand, so therefore external macro example, immediately you can say in a micro level within our mind. So therefore, understanding its value at the outset, very important, but you can't expect that happen in a very large scale or in a speedy manner. It is painfully slow. Only very little amount of population accept it. Something like exactly our mind also, thought moment-wise, very little amount going to accept it. So therefore these are basic facts. To understand not on the technically, this is ethical level, but to understand these are the qualities. So once you understood, suppose that you got a fair understanding, then Venerable Sariputta is very practical way. He says, Khatamo eko dhammo bhavetapo. Understanding the diligence is the main thing, or get the outlook about your spiritual development, you as a human being, what is the meaning of your life, and what is to be done, and you will say, my main thing is to be diligent, and then to incorporate this diligence, what you should do, what you should develop, what you should cultivate, is the second thing he says, to be mindful on your body. And that is what the Satipatthana Sutta say, Kaya Kayanupassya Viharati, be mindful in your body, in body. And even with Sariputta is adding very additives or testifying thing, Sato, Sata Sampanno, Sata Sahatta, happily and gladly. You must be mindful on your body in a thrilling way, in a glad way, not like regimentation, not like torturing yourself, not like burning yourself. It is not easy. When and where out of diligence, bring your mind to body, or so to say, to your posture. Even if you experience that very moment, it will take so much of years of practice for you to understand that very experience is a kind of a gladness or kind of a rapture. Because our mind, even if it is possible to keep in the present moment for a short period, at the beginning, his mind is not at rest, not at peace. It's always find odd, unnatural to be here and now. So therefore, Venerable Sariputta says, Kayagata sati, sata sahat. Be mindful on your body with gladness, with rapture. So, if I am to take an example from Pottapada Sutta, one of the particular suttas delivered by Buddha, find in the same book, the Digha Nikaya, the Buddha is explaining how to make a point to be glad whenever you become mindful on the body. How to make a point to be rapturous whenever you become mindful on the body. The Buddha says, majority of people, they are running families and they have a lot of multitasking and responsibilities, so therefore their whole life is not enough. 24 hours per day is not enough. 7 days per week is not enough. 30 days for time is not enough. So much of responsibility they have, therefore they get exhausted. Hardly any person comes to know that we are whiling away our time at the deathbed, utter desperation, utter vacuum. No one of the humankind so far was happy at the deathbed. There are a lot of achievements, a lot of improvements, a lot of creativity, productivity, but at the deathbed, utter desperation. So some very little fraction of people understand by satisfying our senses, or by satisfying our neighbors, by satisfying our relatives, by satisfying our leaders, as far as we are living, we'll be very proud. We'll be called as rich and achieved and all the kind of thing, but it contributes to a deathbed nothing. It is nothing. So therefore, what is this difference? Whole bunch of people, whole majority of people keep on, go on this pleasure principle and fulfilling duties and kind of thing, but ultimately end up with desperation. So therefore, they consider little bit of after-death situation. It is religious. It is spiritual. For the pleasure-seeking people, this is madness. Once you get the life, why you are not throwing parties and be happy, hilariously here? Why you are thinking about the afterlife? But unavoidable, when you have the very quite rational outlook, at the deathbed everyone is desperate. So therefore, anyone who think twice will take time while living in this lay life or social life, take little time away, renunciate temporarily or permanently, and try to think about what about the after death or spiritual life. So the Buddha says that is very, very rare. Someone to take this kind of a full-time meditation or monkhood or renunciation. These are the people, they initiated that without someone's prompting. So these are the kind of people going to give a broad outlook to the society, and the mental frustration and tension, more and more responsibility means more and more frustration. So with so much of calculation and dedication, they take time off, renounce. And once renounce, it's a big achievement. So we people got a few number of days away from the home and away from the familiar background. So we come here, we know how much it is difficult. But even after you've been successful, you come here and get the timetable, get the precept and sit on the cushion. What happened to your mind? It's utterly sending kites, thinking about what is left behind, what is to be done. And anything you had materiality or sense pleasure, So now mind is now not in the material wise or bodily, but mentally, again mind goes to exactly the same mental proliferation and never at rest. So therefore the Buddha says, even if you renounced temporarily or permanently, when you come and sit, it is not a pleasure. It is not gladness. It is not a rapture. It's torturing. You are sitting on the cushion and torturing, burning. And only meditators knows. Others even they do not know even that simple fact. They think whenever I get a chance to renounce, I know definitely I am going to develop my concentration, I will develop the clairvoyance, I will develop that and that. They are dreaming. But each and every person took this practical step. They know it is another kind of torture, another kind of burning. So how can you say, after renouncing, your renounced life is a gladness? Renounced life is a kind of pleasure or rapture? Never. The Buddha says, if you can appreciate your renounced life, or living in a forest or under a tree or place like this, he says, whenever you appreciate this moment, by way of appreciating that, you can get rid of all your tension and the frustration related to your family life, tension and the frustration related to your sensuous life. So therefore, your appreciation, this is a technically necessary thing for you to get the benefit of the renunciation. Otherwise, by sitting here, you are again thinking back at home. So therefore, you have to understand, this is by intrinsically, this is not a gladness, intrinsically this is not a thrilling thing. But if you are not appreciating very thing, it is torturing, it's burning. So therefore, renouncing is one thing, the appreciation of the renunciation is second thing. Many, according to my understanding, renounced and gone into more difficulties than at home. I am not discouraging you people to renounce, but I am telling, if you are to renounce, be aware. By renunciation, nothing you get. Nothing you get. Only you get more problems. If you are going to say the renunciation itself is a great step, of course it's a great step if you are well informed. If you have done little bit of trial and error, then only you will understand. But the Buddha says, even though it is not pleasurable, even though it is not a gladness, you must appreciate, because as far as you are appreciating this renounced life, you can do away with the frustration related to the family life, frustration related to the village life, frustration related to the household life, and your money, movables and unmovables, and the livestock and everything. So considering that, take appreciation. Now when you live in this place like this, imagine whenever your mind comes to not only the whole monastery, but to your body, even that is not a pleasurable thing. It is not gladness. But the Buddha says, unless otherwise you are not appreciating it, again the household thing is now gone, but the life related to the renounced or monastics are going to burden you when and where your mind is mindful on your body. Only the friction and only the problem related to the body is prevailing. Due to appreciation, others are done away with. That is the way you have to appreciate your very thought moment you are living with the body. And it is not only by doing, you must have the outlook. You must have the correct view. You must have radical reflection. Why the Buddha is asking us to be mindful or be diligent on your body posture, because taking this little bit of frustration, little bit of torturing, we can do away with whole world of frustration, whole world of monastery. So therefore this rationalization, this radical reflection, I find is greatly a vacuum among the meditators. So therefore, they don't understand why we should keep the our mind or mindfulness or diligence limited to your body. Therefore, even they become aware of one's own posture, even if they become mindful on their posture, still they find it is boring, it's monotonous, it's discouraging, sleepy, fearful, uncertain. So therefore, you don't know how to entertain it, you don't know how to make a point to be glad inside the body under such circumstances. So even though you are fruitful and successful, you don't know how to appreciate it. So therefore, Venerable Sariputta says, the thing you have to develop is to be aware, to be mindfulness on the body, and make it a gladness, or you must dwell in the body happily, or with the gladness. So therefore, not mere bringing the attention to the present moment, you must understand how to appreciate it. For that only this listening, for that only we are discussing, for that only we are appreciating our renunciation and bringing the mind into the very moment, very body, me, and philosophical people think on the philosophical ground, they find how to appreciate being in the present moment, how to appreciate being in one's own body or posture, because by itself or intrinsically it is not happiness. Intrinsically it won't give happiness unless otherwise you reason it out. You deduce it this way. So therefore, not only giving the technique of be mindful on the body, the Buddha mentioned, Venerable Sariputta is reiterating, you must make a point to be happy, make a point to be glad, and that simply we can say the total idea of loving kindness. Many meditators are hating their bodies. So their whole meditate life is not tasty or sweet but sour. They hate it. Because they don't love their body. They don't make the best friend out of their body. So teaching and bringing to the mind, to the present moment is very scientific. How to appreciate it and how to be glad on this achievement it's a kind of aesthetic. It's a kind of art. I found it's very difficult to communicate. Some grasp it, some never. Never. They can't. Maybe in future lives or whatever maybe that I do not know. So in my association, I am not worrying about that kind of a people. I keep as much as possible, fill my mentality and the society with people, those who are appreciating the present moment and their posture. And then that will be another additional factor for you to be glad. Because these people are easily sociable people. They just bring the attention to the body and they are happy. Not by achieving this and that kind of thing. So, whenever someone is complaining that even though I am mindful on the body, mindful on the posture, still I can't find any liberation there. I can't find any nibbana over there. I can't find any lack of frustration over there. So, if you keep on analyzing that kind of a statement, they find there's another agenda. They are sitting and meditation is not for nibbana, maybe some other short objects. So definitely leading to a complication, definitely leading to a disappointment. So therefore, when and where you get the correct perspective, you may find that correct perspective you gain only through trial and error. Never you can pass that from another person. You can't get it by the grace of the teacher. You can get it by learning. You can get it by doing dana, skillfulness and sila skillfulness. So this is a different skillfulness. So therefore, throughout this sutta, we have to take special emphasis how to be mindful on the body and make point to be glad. That is completely different thing. I would like to analyze or handle this in further tomorrow. Since we have taken more than 1 hour, I would like to stop the talk today at that level, this juncture. Thank you very much for listening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.